the 6'2", probably my most versatile board. One, because it's short enough to fit most slabs, it's short enough to turn and be maneuverable, really good in the barrel, super duck diveable. So you have a board that you're considering all aspects of what surfing is, which is paddling, duck diving, and actually riding the wave, which our last video like this we did about how to catch waves in a more crowded lineup, which you can watch. Is up on the channel if you haven't watched that. If you have, this is going to be another video like that, more just a passing on of information, things I think beginner surfers could benefit from. If you guys are professionals, maybe this could help you too, but I think this will be more geared towards people at the beginning stages of learning to surf, in the middle stages of learning to surf, and basically anyone who wants to spend more time riding waves. That brings me back to the first point about paddling and duck diving a surfboard. You want to get better at surfing, your mind immediately goes to, if I want to surf better, then I need to ride more waves. But in order to ride more waves, you need to learn how to paddle better, and learn how to duck dive better, and learn how to position better. So this video is about things you can do to surf better, and those things, probably the most important things you can do, unless you are kind of a wave pool only surfer, or one of those rich dudes that hire people to pick them up with a jet ski, set them off, pick them up on the inside, and they're not doing much paddling there. They're going to ride a lot of waves. But for all the normal surfers out there, then majority of what you're doing in the water is always going to be paddling and duck diving, no matter what level you're at. I've paddled and duck dived more than most, maybe because I've paddled out at some crazy spots with some poor timing. I'm at about 300 hours of surfing this year, and I was aiming for 1,000. We're now in the fourth quarter, and I'm just coming up on 300, so falling a bit short of the original goal, but it's cool because it's emphasized even more that, wow, out of those 300 hours of surfing, I would say 99% of that was paddling, duck diving, positioning, and probably even less than 1% is actually wave riding. And I ride a lot of waves. But for you guys, I think something that could help you so much and enhance your time on the board, standing up on the board, riding the wave, which will enhance your skills that you're trying to do on the wave, your turns, your bottom turns, your down the line speed, your pulling in, all of that. You need to catch more waves, and in order to do that, you need to get better at paddling, duck diving, positioning. And this may sound repetitive, but the most common thing I see in lineups with beginning surfers is poor positioning, poor paddle posture, so you're exhausting yourself prematurely in the session. Like, you are not paddling with good form, you are positioning poorly, you're duck diving more because of that, and it's all around causing you to ride less waves. So this is a video about how to surf better, but in order to do that, it's a video about how to paddle, duck dive, and position better. Like I said, surfing 300 hours, I would say I probably am well over 1,000 hours into getting to the beach and actually paddling out or traveling to surf. Most of our time is spent getting up into the point of standing on the board, but getting efficient at your paddling, duck diving, and positioning is gonna probably, this might be a crazy call, but it might 10x the amount of waves you catch. So if you're gonna go spend time working on something, I would say you spend time working on your paddling, duck diving, and positioning. And to do that, I have paddle instructional videos here on the channel. I have duck dive instructional videos. They're old. I could probably update them. Maybe I will at some point. But the main thing is you need to fix your posture on your paddling. You need to keep your legs together. You need to have strong and mobile shoulders. You need to have a strong, mobile back. So anything like kettlebell swings, where you're working your low back to hold you in the posture that's correct for paddling, instead of having that slumped, laid down, head sideways on the board type of paddle, where your traps are working super hard. Paddling is probably the most uncomfortable position you could ever lay in and do an activity, because you're laying on your stomach with your neck arched up and you're rotating your shoulders, so it's just brutal on the body. But upping your paddle endurance, taking time to focus on your form while paddling, and in your sessions thinking about getting better and stronger at paddling is gonna go so far. I'm not saying you need to go do laps in a pool paddling on your board, which will help for sure, time spent on the board, but more so just fixing how you paddle, and when you are surfing, thinking about the paddling portions as training. So obviously in the beginning it's going to affect you, but doing everything you can to paddle a little more in a session. I know I already said that's already most of our sessions, but paddle more now to be a stronger paddler later and catch more waves. When you feel like you're a great paddler, the opportunities in the lineup open up to you, like so much more than when you just don't have the strength or the speed to run down these waves. Beach breaks especially, when you're like, there's a peak there, I need to get there. Being a strong paddler and knowing the length of your endurance in paddling opens up all these different routes you're able to take when you're surfing. You know you can get to a wave. You know when you're going to catch a wave. You know when you're not going to catch a wave, and when to conserve that energy, which is super important, because you want to be explosive when you're catching waves. You want to be maintaining a base speed when you're paddling back out, and able to paddle quickly when you're trying to get away from a set or catch a wave. You can do this all simply by thinking about it during your sessions. On your paddle out, you're thinking about keeping your legs together, keeping streamline, being smooth. What's your stroke at? What's your posture like? Are you needlessly making it harder for yourself? Are you burning more energy? And to get a visual of these tips, you can go look back to some of my paddle videos. There's a chicken here. I don't know what it's doing. I think it might be sick. I mean, maybe he wants to paddle better. He heard my backyard tutorial going on. Anyway, duck diving. You're going to duck dive if you're surfing. And the duck diving is something that you could probably work on. It's a skill-specific movement, and it's a speed-specific movement. This is something like, yes, train it, but it's not so much like, hey, get your body fit for paddling, get your paddle speed up, your endurance up. Know that you can out paddle any session you're going to have. Meaning, like, for me, I know I can go out and paddle for probably 6 hours straight. Say I'm on a shortboard, I could maintain a base paddle speed for probably 5 or 6 hours. And I would be totally uncomfortable after about an hour, but I know I could do that. So for the most part, I know I can out paddle most of my sessions. But my volume of waves significantly goes up with paddle endurance like that, because say I'm going out for just an hour, I can now be at a pace paddling back out that's a really high-end paddle pace. So my turnaround for waves, I think the other day I went out for a session and it was consistent. There was a lot of waves, the crowd wasn't bad. I was sitting below them. I think I caught a wave every 3 minutes for like an hour and a half. I rode like 18 waves. I don't know if that sounds like a lot or a little saying it, but during the session it felt like a ton. Like I rode, fully surfed 18 waves, 18 or 20 waves in an hour and a half, something like a wave every 3 minutes. No way that's possible without paddling at a high pace. Back to duck diving. Duck diving is more of a skill you should practice. Like when you're out the back, and it's something we always did as kids, when you're out the back waiting in a lull, we're practicing duck diving. We're standing on our board, diving down, grabbing our rails, practicing duck dives like that, practicing knee duck dives, foot duck dives, constantly just kind of ducking around the lineup. Obviously, if you're worried about how you look, maybe that's not for you, but if it's like an uncrowded day or whatever it is, then constantly practicing your duck dives. And the fun part about this is these are just things you can do in your normal sessions, so you don't have to go and like, I need to go training and do that if you have the time, and at the time off of work or whatever you're doing, do that when you have the energy. But practicing during your sessions when you're already in the water is gonna pay off huge. So when it's really pumping, you can always practice on those average days. You're just getting out there for a surf, you're working on your paddling, you're working on your duck dives. So when it's firing and you're like, oh my God, today my only focus is catching the best waves, then you're super primed because you've been practicing it a lot more than everyone else has. And you've gotten all these extra skills down to an instinct. And that's really where you want to get to, where you practice these skills and it becomes instinct or a base your body resorts to when things get intense. You're caught inside and you're duck diving a scary wave. You're going to use your most powerful duck dive technique because your body knows that's the depth. That's the deepest depth it can get to for that situation. Or you're going to paddle with your best, fastest form because your body instinctually knows that's going to get you out of the way of a cleanup set faster. So duck dives, every time you duck dive, you should think about, am I streamlined? How deep am I duck diving? Can I practice a double scoop here? Is this the duck dive specifically for this type of wave? There's so many different ways to duck dive, but working on that is going to allow you to sit in positions comfortably others are unwilling to sit in, and that is going to get you more waves in itself. If you're a very strong paddler, a very strong duck diver, you're going to be able to sit on an inside position that a lot of other people are terrified to sit in, because they're not the best paddler, they're not the best duck diver, so they can't sit in there because one set comes through, they're not going to get through it, and they're going to get wiped out, whereas you're totally comfortable sitting there. You have the speed to escape a set or the powerful enough duck dive to get under it. So it opens up the playing field in the lineup of where you can sit specifically. It opens up the waves you can surf. Oh, that fast thumping wave that I used to just think I wasn't quick on my pop-up, I wasn't quick enough on my pop-up, was really a paddle speed issue. Now I can go surf that super comfortably. The last thing is positioning in the lineup. I am telling you, if you guys just worked on your paddle duck dive positioning, your surfing is going to drastically improve. And I'm talking about what you're doing on the wave, simply because you're able to ride that many more waves and get that many more reps in on your bottom turns or your top turns or whatever it is you're working on. That may be a long rant to convince you to work on things that aren't on wave specific, but these are things that I think you can all benefit from, and it's things I see in the lineups on a daily basis where I'm watching someone and I'm like, man, if that guy just was able to paddle a little faster, he would have caught like 5 or 6 more waves in his session, because I've literally watched him miss 5 or 6 waves due to his lack of paddle strength, or he got caught and swept around without even catching a wave because his duck dive was terrible. Positioning is a whole nother thing. The paddling and the duck diving is going to help with that, but I see it so often, just the worst positioning. Like, are you not reading the ocean at all? people basing their position simply off where someone else is sitting, or just not reading the ocean, looking at the reef. Okay, there's the channel, or there's where the waves are breaking, and there's where they're not. How am I going to sit in a place that's going to allow me to catch the best part of that wave? So often I see people just paddle out. They're either way too far in, getting the white water clobbered over their back, or they're way too far out, missing every good wave that comes in. All of that ties back to the beginning factors of this video. I feel like I've said them way too often. Paddle duck dive will help your positioning, and positioning will help you catching more waves, better waves. It all leads back around. You're going to get back out faster. You're going to have more energy. You want to conserve all of your energy for what you're doing on the wave. And so that means becoming a fitter paddler, better duck diver. I've said those two words way too many times. That's the gist of the video. I hope you all benefit from that. I hope next time you're surfing, you're out there thinking about, is my duck dive streamlined? Is my paddle form perfect? Push yourself on your paddle back outs, even if you tire out in those first few sessions, but sprint paddle back out. Work on your duck dives out the back. And I'm telling you, you guys are going to catch a lot more waves, and you're going to get better at surfing because you're spending more time riding waves.